Good evening, Monadnock region, and welcome back after a short break to the Space Lounge. This is GOMO Tonight, the Monadnock region's only locally focused comedy podcast. I'm your host, Chris DiLoretto, and I'm here in the lounge with your co-hosts,
Zoe Rotenheinsman
and Sam Abbott.
Welcome, guys. It's good to be back. I did a little post-election traveling. Went down to the great and bizarre state of Arkansas. That's where I got this hat. This is not a pro-police hat. It's not a political statement. It actually refers to the Razorbacks of the University of Arkansas. And my brother received his PhD in public policy. So we were celebrating. So very, very nice time. Good to get out. It was a very exciting election period, and it was nice to kind of pop out of town for a minute and get out. But I did miss doing this program, and so it's really nice to be back. And also, coming back, I just have to say to everyone, I just have to say to y'all, as they would say in the great state of Arkansas, what the fuck is going on? What is wrong with you? People are even tenser than usual, Like, I step away for a second and there's like shootings, there's like people are dying in nursing homes again, let's talk about this. Like, Space Force Base, New Boston. No,
talked about before is different than the big satellite array.
Yes, the secret satellite of Hancock. Yes, that from the very large array. Different thing, totally different thing.
This one is in New Boston.
Right.
And did it used to be something else? It used to be
an Air Force Air Force installation, because what it does is they handle satellites and shit in there. Or that's what we know so far as we know.
This is why I get all the satellites confused, I think.
Yeah. Right. So this is some kind of military satellite control, and all the military satellite controls are now part of the new branch of the military, the Space Force. So transitioned, I think, in like late 2020, maybe it was last year, 2021.
And so all we really know about what happened, or all I really know, is that somebody drove up to the gate of the Space Force base. There were some words. He whipped out a weapon, and then he was no more.
Correct. That's I think that's all any of us know. This dude just like rolled up by himself, got out, like went to the people at the gate, said some stuff, then he went back to the car and like came out with a gun, like with maybe some gun, a gun, some guns, weapons, a weapon. He came out blasting, and they shot him as would happen, right? As you would think, like when I imagine in my mind what the consequences of like running armed, firing towards the gate of a military base,
you definitely
anywhere in the world, I mean, like anybody's military base,
any branch of anyone's military
any
base.
branch, doesn't matter if they're concerned with the space or the earth, whatever. Yeah, that is definitely what I would expect to have happened. I don't think any more details have come out since this occurred. We're recording this, by the way, on Thursday, the 19th of 2022. The Celtics are crushing the Heat in the second game of the Eastern Conference Finals for historical reference as we record this episode right now. So this was like a week ago-ish, like it was last weekend, right? Wasn't it? Close to the full moon. Close to that weird, we had a lunar eclipse with a little blood moon going on for anybody out there who believes in that sort of thing. So
I'm
pretty
not
weird.
sure if eclipses are real. How could they be if the Earth is flat?
That's right. Yes. There's a lot of reasons to doubt. some of the like really, really expensive luxury watches that I look at, like will like track astronomical events and things like that.
Eclipses even?
I think so. I mean, we're talking like high five figures here.
Wow.
That kind of expert craftsmanship. Yeah. So so the watchmakers think that they're real. I don't know if they cause attacks on very obscure military bases that not a lot of people know about. I kind of want to know what this guy's deal was and who he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But okay, eclipse theory. Wasn't there also a shooting in Keene at like the same moment or something?
At like the same time. Yeah, there really was. And we have very limited knowledge of that event as well. What we know is that I think it seems that there were two individuals involved, and one is dead, R.I.P. And the guy who killed him is claiming self-defense. So it was an altercation. It was pretty clear that it was an altercation from the beginning because the police were very clear that there was no threat to the public. And, that's usually what they say when it was like either, I hate to say it, but like a premeditated murder or like a domestic murder or something like that. This does not appear to have been a family incident. But I do believe it was people who knew each other.
Beyond just in time.
It was very fishy timing. So, wow, this is weird. So do you know the street? The street to get into the Space Force base is called Galaxy Way. Just a little bit of trivia there, and that's where this man was shot. My 33-year-old Michael Foley of Massachusetts was shot on Galaxy Way, an access road that leads to the Space Force station. He was killed by a police officer and a quote unquote contracted security officer. A single gunshot wound. They don't know which person shot the weapon. He was a civilian. He was not affiliated. The military is investigating. And no, but so interesting. So this is from military.com. The last paragraph of this article does not connect it with the shooting in Keene, but it does say the incident outside of New Boston Space Force Station came amid a weekend filled with public shootings at Taiwanese Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods, California, a flea market in Houston, Millennium Park in Chicago, outside of the Milwaukee Bucks Stadium in Wisconsin, and a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
That too, yeah. That's
true.
true.
And Keene.
This article is connecting them all?
Well, that's how they close out their article. They're like, the incident occurred amid a weekend in which everyone was doing shootings.
Wow.
Fucking blood moon, huh? There you go. Really? That's
I mean,
it's a lot.
That's a kind of like I mean, yeah, what? It's weird. I think it's weird. I think it's So a lot of stuff like that. And then we had some like nursing home deaths right at that time, right? No, I don't think it was murder. No. In this case, but I think it was, I mean, unless you
Is it let me just ask this question, and I mean this just with love in my heart. Are nursing home deaths like really uncommon? Is that like
I believe that the statistics on like the mortality rate of living in a nursing home is around 100, I believe. Ultimately.
I mean,
usually, and again, I say this with love in my heart, but they usually are institutions that you do not check out of
Sorry.
It's the final hotel.
Yeah. I mean, same could be said for Earth in general. 100%
Yeah. Oh
mortality
yeah.
rate. Most of us
Absolutely.
aren't leaving.
Eventually,
Elon Musk
most
may.
of us, most of us. I have high hopes, but tempered with realistic expectations, of course. So you're right. So not a lot really to say about that. I
I
guess.
mean, unless there is, I'm just asking.
Not sure. I'm not sure. So people are tense, though. People are real tense. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little tense. I'm a little tense.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna go do the float tank again tomorrow.
Nice.
that
Damn,
should
Yeah.
help.
I'm jealous.
It'll help. It always helps. It always helps. It helps for at least like 6 hours until I'm pissed off again. But like that 6 hours is great.
Yeah, once you realize you're in Keene afterwards.
Well, the thing is to just like come out and do it at like a weird time and just like beeline it for the car and like beeline the car out of there, you know? Yeah. I don't want to jinx it by like saying any more than that, but
But does that mean you have gone willingly to Keene like twice this week?
it's
Willingly.
these are yes. Willingly, but yes. Yes, I did. I went there. I went back to the Laughing Gull, which still doesn't have their fry later yet, unfortunately. I really am looking for some fried haddock. But they do have oysters and very good cocktails. I like both of those things. It was very good. But I was there to see Charlie, our good friend, Charlie Chronopoulos, friend of the pod, friend of Go Monadnock, hardest working musician in New Hampshire. He was doing a gig, his first gig over at Laughing Gull. And I keep promoting Charlie's gigs, and I'm never able to go to them. And so I was taking the opportunity to hop on out there. And yes, so I did. I went to Keene. We zipped in, we zipped out. I had a nice meal. I had a nice meal. I had a couple of palomas.
How was the show?
The show was awesome. Charlie is exactly as great as you expect him to be. As those of you who have put him on Spotify and played him on repeat all night know, it gives you a fair idea of what to expect. So it was a good thing. And yeah, I'm gonna go back. I have to go. Yes, I have to do I'm not even gonna get into it. I can't go there. I'm gonna do a couple of errands there, and I'm gonna float in a tank. And you know what? If they open a float tank in Peterborough, I will never go to Keene for float tank anymore. But until that day comes, I have to take that risk, and I need to relax because I don't want to be as tense as everybody else because people are flipping the fuck out. And as Zoe read in the newspaper earlier,
Yes.
they won't even let the kids chill out and like have a smoke.
Yes, multiple police records. And I can't get my head around seeing like so and so, age 19, charged with possession of tobacco products by a minor. Age 20. I like had to stop and think, like, is that real life? Yes, it is. So
I just don't agree with this, folks. Like you have a right to do unhealthy things, and 18 was considered an adult. Like at some point we decided. I mean, they charge people with crimes as adults at like 14 and 15, like all the time. You know what I mean? But at 18, you can be in the military. You can vote, which is the worst one of all. You know what I mean? We should definitely let people smoke before they can vote. Like think about it. But if we have to do this in a staggered fashion, I mean, I never agreed with the alcohol age being 21 either. You know, why are there like ages of like super majority. You know what I mean? Like if the age of majority is 18, I mean, I don't agree with charging the 14-year-olds as adults in court either, by the way. I think there should be like one like hard and fixed line that we agree upon, after which like you're an adult and you commit crimes as an adult and you vote and smoke and drink and fight in wars.
And run for presidency. Fuck it, right?
Sure.
That's the later
You know,
one. That's the big one.
Yes, that's the other one that's like 35. Yeah, I think the Senate has a 30. I think you have to be 30 to be in the Senate as well. So yeah, I don't, even though I definitely don't want young people running for president, honestly. But and I definitely what?
I don't think they'll win, but like you
Yeah, I know.
should
Let
be
them.
able
No, I
to
know.
throw your
Let them.
name.
Let them. It's fine. No, I agree. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I think 35 is very fair, but yes, in principle, I really don't agree with having age limits beyond being an adult. If people want to vote for a 19-year-old who's running for president, I mean, you're right. That wouldn't happen. But like, if they did, then why shouldn't the 19-year-old win?
Yeah. God help us.
Right?
Yeah. That's
in principle. Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing,
you get busted. Like I got busted with smokes. Like that's like being in jail. You know what I mean? Like that's
there's like 4 or 5 of them in this 1 week of police reports.
They were doing sweeps.
Yeah.
Like The Wire. What do they call that? What do you call that? Not a rip and run, but like there's a great cop term for like just like street rips. Doing street rips. Yeah. Like when you're just out getting like low level busts, you know, like just going to the corners. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're getting the low level peddlers on the corners, you know, street rips. That's like, for those of you who haven't seen The Wire 8 times, that's like a main like police conflict in the show, is like the tension between the desire for like short-term results, exemplified by the phrases like dope on the table and like low-level street rips and busts, and the real police who like want to like do like deep investigations and like follow the money trail and the paper trail and like actually like get to like the core of these like systems and enterprises, but like they're always stymied both by the need for quick results and by the fact that if they were to actually succeed in what they were trying to do, the people above suddenly usually become involved in meshing up. Oh man, watch The Wire, guys. It's just like in Peterborough when they bust the kids for cigarettes.
a lot of similarities.
Turn of the century Baltimore is just like Peterborough in 2022 if you're a teenage smoker or a skateboarder for that matter, which is another thing that's erupted in the last while I was gone. I go away and the cops start hassling Eddie for riding a skateboard. Now, let's just be clear, it was a legitimate hassling because it is against the ordinance. You're not allowed to skateboard downtown. And
he was skate commuting to his dance class.
Right. But like nothing happened though. Like I think the cop was just like, don't do that. Like, and Eddie was like, I should be able to, and the cop was like, it's against the code.
And this is now like been brought to the select board.
This is our newest our post-election political issue.
Yeah. And apparently there was some like spicy debate about it. I tuned in too late, but I heard about it later. Select board member Tyler Ward wants to like get rid of this ordinance and replace it with like skateboarders can skate unless they're not cool. And then people are like, well, that's too subjective. And he's like, well, they're applying this ordinance subjectively anyway. But I think the word is that they're going to like look at it. They're going to look at the ordinance, maybe do.
Well, I think, but isn't the deal though, like, is this the kind of thing that the select board can change unilaterally, or do we have to vote on this?
I don't think that they can change it on their own.
I don't think they can. That's what
Yeah.
at least that's as I understand it now. More, as they say in Big Lebowski, like more shit may have come to light, but I don't, not that I have been privy to yet. I wasn't at that meeting because I was in an airport, and I might have even been on a plane at that time coming home. I wasn't going to put that on. But
I missed that. I tuned in just in time to hear the debate about which bank to get our fire station bond from.
Oh, cool. Hope they picked the good bank. Just very concerned about the bank that they were going to pick.
Well, I'm sure they made the right choice. I
do trust their.
out.
I totally trust their competence on that. Man, I don't know. I probably have a lot of unpopular things to say about this skateboarding issue. I'm torn between my. I'm torn between my principles and my inclinations. And I do think at the end of the day, typically if I'm voting on something, I do tend to go with my principles over my inclinations. I really do. 7 times out of 10. Maybe not 9 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10. I just hate skateboarding. I just fucking hate it. I hated it when I was a kid. I hate it now. I was around a lot of skateboarders all the time. I had to tolerate it. But I know some people who are still skateboarding, like from back then to now. I mean, I imagine Eddie's one of them. He's not one I'm referring to. I mean, somebody that I knew back then. It's just annoying to me, and it, this will get me accused of classism, but like, it can attract an undesirable element and behavioral character. Like I would, never mind. But at the same time, and I also hate all vehicles on the road, because other people make this alternative transportation argument. This is another one of those unpopular parts of what I think about this, because I hate all the alternative transportation. I don't want any fucking bikes. I don't want any rollerbladers. I don't want fucking any of them. I don't want them there on the road. I just want the road. I just want cars and walking. Walking's okay too. I think you have the right to walk. I don't want horses either. Fuck the horses. I don't want any of these things on the goddamn road except for cars and people on foot.
Can we talk about horse shit? Why is horse shit okay?
I don't think it is.
Not okay, but horse shit. So is it because it's so big? I guess.
Yes, but let's talk about this, because we owe it to Temple to talk about this, because this is a big issue there, and this is a legitimate issue that they talk about, that we're allowed to talk about this issue. By the way, for those of you who are following along and like listening to my teases about Temple things that we can't say, but this is very well known. It happens in their Facebook group. I think it comes up in town meeting even sometimes. But like, there's a lot of horses.
Weren't there yard signs about this?
Yes, I think so. I think according to Jeff, there were. So this for those of you who don't know, in Temple, there's a lot of horses, and there's a lot of people who ride around on them. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you don't even live in a place that's like out in the middle of nowhere like we do, but like horses, like the law is kind of sort of like bicycles. Like they have a right to be on the road. Like you can't unsafely pass them. Like you have to give them a bunch of room. Like if there's another car coming, like you got to stay behind the horse. Like it's like that, so they have a right. They have a right to be there. But horses shit everywhere. And to like, think about it, right? Like if you're riding on the horse, and I'm not a horse rider, right? So I'm putting myself in their shoes, but I think this is correct. I don't think I'm overstepping here, right? You're riding on the horse, right? And the horse just like takes a shit, but the horse is taking a shit several feet behind you. Like the horse's ass is like, it's well behind you. You don't hear it, see it, or smell it. And so it just falls to the ground. But it's big, if anybody hasn't seen, horse shit is green and it's large. It's like a big fucking, like, it's a bunch of clumps of fucking turd. It's not a swirly mammalian, typical four-legged shit, It's much more agricultural. It's very agricultural
It's like
shit.
big grass poops.
Big grass shits. Yes, just big fucking hunks of grass horse shit, right? And they leave it there. And they leave it there because, as Sam put it, if you're a dog walker, you got to carry a bag by law and pick that shit up, right? But there's no such law that exists for horses. And legitimately, it pisses people off. But I don't know the solution either, because how do you really know? You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna know? Like, or do you just have to, like, by law, double back on your route and, like, dismount and, like, take care of it, when you're on your way back home? I don't think that's an unfair thing to say.
What about a horse diaper? Is this a thing?
Some kind of technology. It doesn't have to be very advanced,
Just a sack to.
That's a thought too.
Hang out back there.
Is all the shit.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, you could just make the ordinance that they're responsible for cleaning it up and let them innovate the technological solution out of necessity, as many innovations in life often are.
I have heard some suggest an equine excrement tax be levied.
Yes, it gets taxed. What was the proposal? Like, this is a proposal that, like, happened on my dining room table, I believe, not in any official halls of government. But isn't the idea that, like, is it like horse owners pay the tax?
Seems fair.
And there's like the town then would clean up the excrement. It does seem fair.
It seems to disappear anyway. I mean, it's not really a question of whether or not it gets gone. It gets gone. But while it's there, it's there.
Who does? Yeah, who does it? Do we know who
get out there every day like it's snowing and plow away all the horse shit?
Do crows eat horse shit or something?
Some animal must. I mean, it's
are there a lot of animals that eat shit?
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I don't know. That's a legitimate question. I don't know how it works out there among the animals. What?
I mean, like, water would wash it away too, right? Like, how long does a shit sit there in the elements?
Because, like, you can see, like, I mean, so, like, pellet types of shit you can kind of see for a while.
Like deer.
Yeah, and like a good, like, I mean, if you own a dog, say, right, and your dog shits all over your yard, right? And like you go through winter or whatever, and like, I don't know, like, there will still be remains of the shit.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
another good reason to add to my list of why I do not wish for a dog.
Yeah, I mean, dog shit sticks. I mean, that's why we make people bag it, because it doesn't really go away. Like, it kind of hangs out for a while. Yeah.
But Sam, you seem animated about this.
Yeah,
where do you stand?
Where do I stand? I think it's obnoxious. I mean, it's,
And away from the shit in the road is where Sam stands.
It's always been like, I mean, yes, I get that it's inconvenient, but I think it's so, fucking hypocritical to be all over people about their dog shit. And yet you have these, and people are very nice. I live in Temple, there's more horses than people here and whatnot. But I mean, they're not insignificant. I mean, they're enormous, and so
I mean, you could sort of make a comparison to, like, what if I took a paper plate, right? Like a couple of paper plates, and they're 7th generation brand paper plate, right? So they're made from, like, wicked recycled paper, and they're biodegradable and all this stuff, right? And I crumple them up, and I crumple them up together in a big clump, and I'm just like cruising through Temple, and I roll down my window, and I'm like, fuck yeah! And I throw out the crumpled ball paper plates, right? I sort of see this as equivalent, right? Because, like, eventually, I mean, like, the rain's going to wash it away, but that's still littering if I do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's against the law. Like, I can't throw the biodegradable paper plates out my window.
Would you throw an apple core out of your window?
I throw fruit stuff.
You do throw fruit cores?
Yeah, totally. Even though I know that's, like, horrific for some reason now, but yes, I throw banana peels.
Banana peels. Things. I asked the cop once when I got pulled over. I was like, hey, I had a banana peel there, and I'm like, what the hell? What do I have to lose? I'm like, hey, if I throw this out the window, is that okay with you? Like, is that all right, or is that littering? And he said, doesn't bother me. He said, some animal's gonna come out, they're gonna take it, they're gonna go eat it off in the woods somewhere. Fine with me. I said, all right.
So
Nice.
because it's animal food, so we have to find out, like, do some animals eat horse shit? Because that is the key.
That does seem to be an important question. Yeah, we'll put this out to our listeners here.
Yes. Anyone knows?
Horse shit experts out there. What creatures eat it, if any?
They do have
specifically woodland native species.
They have the bags that go over the horse's ass.
Oh, that's the thing.
Oh, they do.
That up?
Oh yeah, I got it right here.
That's
where's
cool.
The price $65.
All right, but it's reusable, right?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
It's not like a one-time.
$65 for like a trash bag.
Well, hey, you gotta have money to own a horse.
It's the,
I mean, I don't know.
The catch it manure
Those
bag.
things, that's expensive, man.
Yeah, it's
no offense, but
4 feet deep.
4 feet deep?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
because think about it, right?
I mean, it hangs off of its ass,
right. No, but like, think about it, like, because like a horse, drops multiple clumps.
Sorry.
Like,
Pony.
think about
the dimensions of the animal.
Okay. I was like, how ridiculous! Like a 4-foot column, like.
Yeah, but I could see it making a 4-foot column of shit inside of it. I think that's possible.
How long of a ride are we talking here?
Just around Temple. I don't know.
No, they're probably 2 feet though.
That sounds really funny. I'm gonna have to go like look at a picture.
Yeah, it does sound funny. It does. Yeah, interesting. So I mean, I think that maybe in the future there should be some regulations put up around that. Maybe our Temple listeners have some views. We'd love to hear them if you do. As we always say, we're looking to hear from all of you other towns. Like somebody made a joke on well, we'll get to this topic in a minute, but it was on a post I made in the Peterborough group about how we should her comment was, you should just call it Go Peterborough instead of Go Monadnock, which I mean, I take the point. We do acknowledge it. We're pretty self-aware about it, but we also have been begging anyone, because we just don't have the resources, the wherewithal, and the knowledge to necessarily penetrate all these towns ourselves, so we're looking for the dirt. We're looking for your complaints. We're looking for your excitement, your drama. And I know that I just listed off mostly negative things, but like, look at who we typically have on our program. Like we've had, all of the folks working on the environmental subcommittees. We've had our fire chief on. So like we are in truth, we're looking for your positive stories as well. And for the initiatives and for the things that you're trying to get done, and your dramas and your conflicts and things like that we would like to cover. Exciting things that go on in your respective Facebook groups. I cannot monitor them all. I spend too much time on Facebook already. Everyone knows. So yeah, please reach out. But this is good. I'm glad we got to do some Temple talk. But yeah, just to bring it back home, my inclinations say no horses, no vehicles. You walk or ride, vroom, vroom. But however, this is sort of where my principles kick in, where it's like, I don't really like to ban. I don't think very many things should be banned. I think just across the board, fewer things should be banned. And my distaste for skateboarding is not a good reason for a law that bans it. It isn't. I do obviously have tyrannical tendencies sometimes, but deep down in my heart, I am a little bit of a populist, and I don't think that I can hate it all I want, but I don't think I should really be able to take it away from people. As long as people aren't being fucking idiots. Like there should be some way to ticket somebody for being a jackass on a skateboard. You can ticket somebody for being a jackass on a bicycle, so fair's fair. I imagine you can ticket somebody on a horse. I don't know what for, but I imagine there's reasons. So
Your
yeah,
horse
so
is like
also
charging pedestrians.
yeah, right. If you lose control of your horse, I think like negligently. I'm sure that's a there's a penalty for that. Running out in traffic on your horse is probably a yeah. There's probably penalties. Yes, and certainly if you injure somebody. So yeah, so sorry. I had to get that out of my system about hating skateboards, but ultimately though, well, I also there's the centrist in me is like this just still shouldn't come up. This shouldn't be on the select board agenda, and this shouldn't be as part of town meeting because it's just too goddamn trivial. So there's that side of me as well. But ultimately, on the principle side, I suppose I reluctantly have to agree. Let's change the ordinance. Let the people skate. Right? Freedom, liberty, live free or die. Skateboard down Grove Street.
There you go.
I don't have any particular hate for skateboarding. It just wasn't a thing.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, it was definitely a thing where I grew up.
I grew up here, and it was a thing. And I remember when I was in middle school, high school, I think that might have been when they made it illegal to skateboard downtown, because my friends all skateboarded too. And like you, Chris, it never took for me. I never tried, didn't really want to. But they did.
Same.
I think that was a thing, if I remember correctly. But hence the skate park. Go put them all up there. Keep them out of our downtown, our town downtown kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and I'm, yeah, yes.
A lot of capital O, an hour kind of thing going on there, And that's sort of the trouble. They wanted to. I don't want to get carried away here. They wanted to, keep downtown pretty, idyllic, not with a bunch of long-haired teenage kids skateboarding and graffitiing walls and things.
Yeah. Although, I will say, having lived on Summer Street and like walked downtown at all hours of the day or night, they're definitely like in warm weather months, there's like groups of like 6 or 7 like hooliganish 14 to 18-year-olds, I don't know how old they are, who just like sort of sit around downtown, and it's like they are fairly harmless, and I don't think that they'll be any more dangerous with skateboards in tow. Maybe slightly more annoying, but I don't know, bust them on some other minor.
Like smoking.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we need them to be harassed and moved along, find some other excuse besides skateboarding to get them on. It's easy enough with the youth.
Well, and the graffiti of late has been happening at the skate park itself. So
has there? See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
what's been going on?
Some hooligans, I think it's fair to say, like graffitied some apparent. I don't know exactly what it said, but it was apparently like so rude that it needed to be taken care of like immediately before anyone's grandma saw it. So it cost the town a fair bit of money to clean it up.
Wow.
The skate park.
There's some downtown too recently, I noticed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was somebody did it at that bus stop. The bus stop to nowhere.
Oh yeah, the bus to
Remember
nowhere.
that? Maybe we talked about that even.
I don't know if we did. I don't remember that. Somebody graffitied over at the. It's not just a bus station to nowhere anymore now. It's a bus station and a electric vehicle charger.
Where is that?
Down at the best parking lot in Peterborough.
By the movie theater?
No, it's
the new one.
The new one. Yeah, whatever it's called.
Gotcha.
Is it the Barbara Miller parking lot?
No, it's someone else's name.
No, the street to get down to it's Barbara Miller Way or something.
What is?
But yeah,
it's a
is it the
man's name.
Riverwalk parking lot?
It's probably the Riverwalk parking lot, but isn't there like a man's name? Like the bridge is a dude, or is that Barbara Miller?
Is the bridge a dude? Barbara Miller is the street sign on Grove Street to get down there. It says Miller Way or something.
All right, I'm gonna look this up.
Former select woman Barbara Miller, for those listening, for the record.
This is gonna absolutely drive me crazy.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Producer Jimmy will go ahead and call that up on his on his information machine.
The Brenner Bridge parking lot.
I didn't even know that. Brenner. Who was Brenner?
What? Yeah, it's got a first name too, but it's called the Brenner Bridge. What is it? Come on, Jimmy. It's giving me like the Brenner Pass on the Autobahn when I look up Brenner Bridge without Peterborough. Pam Brenner, former town administrator Pam Brenner.
There you go.
Cool.
Has the bridge named after her.
Nice. That's cool. Good, respect for town administration. I like that. Very nice. Yeah, maybe someday we'll have like McStay Park or something. You never know. Or maybe she'll get a maybe we will economically grow so much that we need another new parking lot and we can have the McStay parking lot.
Another bridge.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Just move that pedestrian bridge like down the river.
Yes,
a bit.
the one that we don't know what to do with, and it's too expensive to put places and all that shit. Yeah. We totally could. Well, speaking of like the downtown area, there are a couple of positive things to note. Namely, and of course, by the time you folks listen to this will have already happened, but I'm very excited. We need to talk about this. It's Children in the Arts Day on Saturday. The first one since the before times. The first one since everyone became so tense. It's important to point this out because the festivals of Peterborough are some of the most important and like spirit generating parts of the town and what makes it a town and what makes it a distinct town. And the absence of this has, I think, really been felt in more than just sentimental ways. I think there's a palpable wave of energy that comes out of this event that has been wholly absent for quite some time. And it's very important that it comes back. I like to call it the Kentucky Derby of Peterborough. I'm trying to start a trend where people wear fancy and bizarre hats like they do at the Kentucky Derby.
I got my hat decorating materials today, and I think you're going to be impressed.
I expect to be impressed. Like I admitted to you earlier, I don't even have my hat taken care of yet. So I'm a little concerned. I'm running out of time here, but I hope I can I do have this cool pig's hat, but I'm not talking about a baseball cap here. That's not really appropriate. It's not really what we're looking for. For those of you who don't know,
have you ever been to Children in the Arts Day?
Who?
You?
Me? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of course he has.
I grew up.
Yeah, because he grew up here. Pine Hill goes here. Like there's always Pine Hill involvement.
Yeah, he went to P.
That's right. I was thinking of only your little kids, and I was how fun is this going to be? They weren't even born last time.
That's true.
Yeah, duh.
That's true. She'll
forgetting everything before 2019.
Yeah. Can you could probably do it better than me. Can you define it though, Zoe? Like Children in the Arts Day? I like to, by the way, I'll add the other trend I'm trying to start is calling it Children of the Arts Day. Just because it sounds more mysterious.
It does. And when you said Children in the Arts just now, I like did a little double take. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah. I know. I was saving the shock for a moment for the listeners. But yes, Children of the Arts is how I've always referred to it because God, that's just such a better festival name. You know what I mean? The children are born. Like, as we create the art is creating the children. I mean, come on, like there's so much. It's such a rich concept. I mean, children and the arts is also good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be overly critical here, and it's also like, I'm just going to call it what I want to call it. Others are free to join me though.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Sam is the right person with your long history of having gone. I've only actually been one time.
No, I mean it's a day for kids. That's the whole idea, right? And so a day for, that's their whole thing, is to make it all about the children, and have one event where everything that can be done effectively for free, except for eat, and even the food is like very modestly priced, so that parents can go without having to worry about it and such. And it's businesses and all sorts of people in the community obviously have opportunities to participate in varying degrees, but if they want to have any sort of involvement, actually, in the event itself, beyond helping and shuffling around and moving things and whatnot, then they have to provide an activity for kids. And so it's literally an entire day centered around children, and with some sort of a thematic element that changes every year. And so there was the history back, years ago, where they'd made the really big puppets that you guys have probably seen in the parades, right? And so Terry Reeves still makes these puppets. I don't know if there'll be one this year, probably, maybe.
No, I think so. Yeah, no, there's definitely a puppet parade.
The library did a workshop making them, so
cool.
Some people went.
Nice. So
they're cool. Like, if any of you haven't seen this, but you have ever seen like bread and puppet theater, it's like giant puppets like that. It's like giant bread and puppet theater like puppets, which are kind of cool.
And there's more.
They're very cool
there too. It's an influence thing. I've heard the story. I don't recall all of that, but it's neat, man, and it's just a cultural tradition in Peterborough that's happened for a long time. But all the schools, and there are a lot of schools in the area, all the elementary schools, private schools, public schools, all march in the parades, and it's just neat. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you covered like the children's side super well. There's also like the art part though, which is, I think it's not just a day for kids. Like it's a day for
I
art.
Definitely have more fun than my kids do at it.
It's like art that is truly like by kids though, in a cool way. Like the whole downtown right now is like covered in art in every storefront window made by all the kids at school. There's a homeschool window, and art's everywhere. There's flags everywhere that have been made by kids, but also like there's kids dancing. There's a kids choir. Like Clover, my daughter's playing violin with like a kids violin ensemble. There's gymnastics, maybe not gymnastics, circus kids for sure. It's like they're all there like performing, and I just think it's really cool that they get to like perform for the whole town in this sort of casual, like low pressure way, where it's like, I think that big project art kind of like education, for example, a dance recital where like everyone's working to put together a show, put together art, is really cool. I love it. My kids dance. That's cool. But it's a totally different and awesome thing also to have just like a small casual one-off. Like, I think that's really neat too. And there's not that many venues where you can do that as a kid. Like an adult can go to like an open mic night or like, jam or whatever. If you're a kid, I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be as many.
I think it's important to know too that they close off Grove Street. So like the main way of the town gets totally closed off to traffic, and there's like the vendors and activities, mostly activities on both sides of the street, all the way down to like Putnam Park and in Depot Square Park, and like it's the whole downtown like comes alive, and it's like it's usually like around this time, like the weekend before Memorial Day, so like all the leaves have popped, and so it's like the earth and it's such a timely it's great. Really happy about it. I'm really excited that we get to do this again.
Me too. And we will be there with our table.
Yes. And Sam, I don't even know if you saw it because I sent it to you late, like right before we went on the air, but I sent a picture of the poster that we had printed at free plug, Peterborough Photos, Copies and More. Did I say that right? Hopefully.
Cameras, copies, and more.
Camera copies and more. Yes.
Also photos.
Yes. I mean, I went over there and I texted our buddy Kevin, who's the manager there now, this morning, like just because I was texting with Zoe and I'm like, should I do something for this? And I'm like, hey, like what if we really did print up a banner, or, like a sign that we could have behind us, because all we have is the Monadnock Underground vinyl one, which just doesn't seem to fit right for this, and I just texted Kevin like, hey, how hard is it to like print? I know he's got a poster printer in there. Like, how hard is it to print a poster by, tomorrow so that I can have, he's like easy peasy, like send me a PDF. And yeah, I sent him a PDF. Like this was all taken care of by like 1:00 in the afternoon. Like it was like instant. And it cost $20 too, by the way. Like nothing. I thought it was good. I had no idea what to expect. It was like 22. I was like, $22? You serious? It's 3 feet by 2 feet. It's a good sized little thing. And so the theme this year is bugs. So we had to come up with something bug themed. So I got the DARE font, like from Drug Abuse Resistance Education, and I wrote TICK, to keep a kid off Lyme. And it doesn't actually stand for anything, I don't think. But
I believe that we threatened to do this on this very program some months
we might have
back.
talked about this on the air. Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is what our activity is. So you can come by our table. By the time you hear this, you may already have done so. And
I hope you have. Because it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited about it. I hope to see a lot of people there. I hope to be wearing an awesome hat. God, yeah, this is good. This is good. And it's going to be like 90 degrees, which I know some people don't like that, but I do. And I am thrilled. Bring it on. Let's crank up the heat. It's a festival day. Let's get sweaty. Man, I'm stoked. Yeah. So very cool. But however,
what else is going on this weekend?
This is minor like rain cloud over the weekend.
Storm cloud moving in. Well, so we've talked about before the fact that the person / persons responsible for the thing in the spring, the other spring festival that was in Peterborough every spring, usually in June. Word was given that operations were shutting down because it was untenable in Peterborough, and there was he's kind of brought his music over to Nova Arts in Keene. But that is not, in fact, what happened. What happened was he then announced a new thing in the spring in Keene. So outright stealing the festival from the town, spitefully. And in a move that it's this Saturday. It's during the Children in the Arts Day Festival. I mean, like, if that isn't, I'm sure he's going to pretend like that was an accident or like an inadvertent scheduling thing, but come on. That's I know people around here don't like to admit to noticing those things, or like notice being slighted, or like admit that someone's insulting them, but like, come on, guys. Like, you don't have to, like, don't just sit there and be like, okay, like, come on, like, that's not, like, have some goddamn dignity. Yeah. So that pisses me off. I don't support it, and I won't. I fucking won't support it. And that brings us to the overall point, though. This is an issue that came up this week because, it's bad enough. It's already happened. Like, and there's all kinds of like innuendo and stories. I know nothing about it, about what happened to the old Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. There's all kinds of rumors and innuendos about money and like all this stuff. I don't know anything about it. I don't endorse it. I can't tell you, but they're gone. They left a few years ago. They stopped operating. But in its stead, we now have what is it called? The Greater Keene and Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. And I didn't like that to begin with. And granted, like I never really made that an issue like on this program or whatever, because, and I'll just be honest, like even as technically we are small business owners here. I mean, Sam, you are a small business owner more than technically, but Zoe and I technically.
I don't know. Are we technically? We really are. We're small business owners. If you look,
we do. We legally own a small business. It doesn't,
right?
you know.
Yeah,
we're on a list.
This is, and it's not just this too. It's that as well. That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a business. But I've just never. I don't know. I've never felt connected to or like represented by like a chamber of commerce. You know, maybe it's because I'm new to being a business owner, but it's just I've never interacted with any. You know what I mean? Like I've never had occasion to. You know, so.
We're
I didn't
not
like
in
it
their
because
directory of local businesses. I did take a peek at it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, so don't like it being combined with Keene. I don't like it for a number of reasons, which we'll get into some of them. But overall, I mean, you can easily summarize it, which is that I don't think that Peterborough and Keene are like one region. I don't think that Keene is in the Monadnock region in the same way that Peterborough, Jaffrey, you know, even Troy, Ringe, like even like these towns, there's a different character. And all of these towns have separate characters of their own, but all of the places that I just named have more in common. Hancock, Francistown, all these places have more in common with one another and with Peterborough than they do with Keene. It's a separate entity. I've lived a decade in both places. It's not the same. It's just not. A lot of it's intangible, and I will admit that. But I'm just telling you, the people who insist that they're like somehow complementary or that they like flow into one another or that they're like a natural fit in some way, it's not true. It's not true like demographically, economically, culturally, not in no way. So I resent it. I don't like it. I don't think we should have the same chamber of commerce as Keene at all. I don't think that. But this became something that I felt that I had to talk about because back to the Economic Development Authority. I thought maybe after the town voted to give the Economic Development Authority the most important $15,500 in the town meeting this year, that we could maybe take a break of a couple months anyways from talking about the EDA and move on to something else. But the EDA wanted the select board this week to approve a couple of new members, one of whom is Luca Paris, who is the president of the chamber. He owns Luca's in Keene. If you've ever been there, it's a good restaurant. I'm not gonna besmirch Luca's. I think the food in Keene is terrible, and Luca's is probably the best food in Keene that I've had, honestly. So no slight on him personally or his business at all. He seems like a nice guy. People think I'm attacking him, but I'm not. But I don't really think he should be on our Economic Development Authority, even if he's the president of the Chamber of Commerce. They did approve it. As I understand it, they asked some procedural questions about like whether or not it was against the rules, and it's not against the rules. And I wasn't claiming it was against the rules. I don't know that we need a rule about that. I think it's a thing that you should just say no to. And so I started a discussion of this, and I do think that I think that the discussion will probably be a medium to long-term discussion. I think I'll probably write about it a little bit at some point at length. But I called this out, and I don't, much as I am a rabble rouser in the Peterborough group, it's actually very rare that I make a straight up post that is like, look at this thing. I think it's bad, you know? And that's what I did in this case. I'm like, I think we need to open the doors and just, not everybody's going to agree with me about my like just distaste for and distrust of Keene and my belief that like any gain that Keene gets in the arts when it comes to music or festivals or visual arts or performance art, or anything is going to come at our expense. I firmly believe that. I don't expect everybody to believe that. I don't expect everybody to agree about that. But I want to talk about these things. I want all of these things to be viewpoints that are debated and discussed, because otherwise we just have, a minority, like a small subset of active business owners. And like, yeah, props to them for being active. I'm not trying to, like, people will inevitably accuse me of being like, oh, you're just shitting on the people who volunteer, like they're working hard. I know, I'm a volunteer. Like, I get it. Like, I know they're working hard. I'm not trying to be a dick. Like, I'm not casting aspersions either. I'm not even saying that anybody is acting out of anything that they don't believe is good faith and good intentions. I'm not accusing anybody of anything bad, but I think it's okay to say everyone in a situation is acting in good faith and everyone in a situation is doing what they think is right, but not everybody is right about what is right. Not everybody is correct about what is strategically beneficial for the town of Peterborough. And I want to have this discussion. It actually seems like there's a lot of people who at least are open to having it, and are interested in it. But yeah, so that's my spiel.
Turned out to be a very interesting post, and a lot of actually really good discussion already started in that post. It didn't even seem like that much of a rabble rousing post. I think
it wasn't a troll post. I guess that's the difference, is I wasn't trolling. Like, for what I mean? Like, this was a sincere, like, guys, I think we should be concerned about this, and not a jab or a joke. And a lot of times, obviously, my jabs and jokes have some purpose, as some others have noticed. There's a purpose and a message there usually as well. But this was just a straight up like, guys, why don't we have a chat about this? And we did, and it didn't influence the select board meeting at all. It was that all happened too fast.
I think it happened before anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. So I do. I'm happy. I'm with you though. I'm happy with the discussion that was had. It didn't really degenerate into anything really bad or negative or whatever. I mean, Luca was there. He's like, let's talk. Like, yeah, great. Let's talk. I mean, I'll sit down. I mean, you guys know me. Like, I will sit down and have a conversation with anybody. But this, to me, it's like I get it. Like, I really think I have a fair idea of like what the intent here is, and I like I said, I don't think it's ill intent, and I don't think it's bad faith, but I disagree almost definitely with whether or not it's correct, whether it's right, whether it's in the interests of Peterborough, or whether, I mean, it's not like I don't think we should have like no diplomatic relations with Keene. It's not like I don't think we should like talk to them at all. That maybe there shouldn't be like a Southwest New Hampshire Council organization or something like that. But like the culture, the Monadnock region is just, it's a different place. It's quirkier. A crude way to put it is that it's a little bit hippier. It's, I don't know. And Keene to me is just so Midwestern. It's just, it has a main street that looks like New England, but nothing about like the people or the places or the things to go, except for Luca's. You wouldn't find a restaurant like Luca's probably in Ohio. I don't think they have food that good there. So there's exceptions. Again, I'm going there to float, I went to see Charlie there. There's a place. I don't know if I'm feeling benevolent enough to give them a free plug by name, but it's easy enough to find out. There's a place in downtown Keene that's like having jazz just like a jazz trio every other Wednesday night. Like, I would like to see that. You might catch me checking that out at some point.
But see, when I hear about that, I just think we should have that.
We should have that. Like, I know.
I don't want to go to Keene for that. I want that in Peterborough.
And Harlow's is just not bringing music back. And like, that's like the place where this would happen, you know?
Right.
And it's depressing. And I don't care who gets mad at me for saying that, because it's true and everybody knows it. And so we are, that's the other thing too, is that like, yeah, like I'll freely admit it. My concern comes from, I think, a place of a position of weakness. It's a position of insecurity a little bit, because we are losing things. You know,
Right.
we have a guy doing this to us on our best festival day because the town didn't make enough concessions, you know, for the awesome service that he was doing with his non-free, non-family oriented festival. You know, like, and we're losing the war. Like, we lost our best music venue. Like, we're losing this shit. And I know there's others out there, because we've talked to them, that are just as concerned about this and are motivated. And we are going to do something about it. Like, we're going to make, there's going to be a counterinsurgency here. Mark my words. But I don't think that comes about from, you know, having boards where we like plan it all out with Keene. I just, in any way that Keene becomes more like Peterborough occurs at Peterborough's expense, and any way that Peterborough becomes more like Keene occurs at Peterborough's expense. You know, like that.
It's true. Yeah.
Don't fall for it, guys. Like, there are, like, if you haven't figured it out by now, it is possible for the people, the well-meaning people and volunteers and active folks in society, to do it wrong.
Mm-hmm. One, not to like, I'll try to be vague, because I'm not really trying to call this person out who commented on your post, but just the idea that like we gotta just like get through these hard times by like submitting to the larger power, the larger force or whatever. Like, I'm so resistant to that idea on whatever level we're talking about, whether it's like Peterborough submitting to Keene or like or you know, larger expressions of that culturally, right? It's just repulsive to me.
Like, people think I'm fucking batshit crazy when I talk about things like Imperial Keene and like swallowing up other towns, right? But it's not really that fake of a thing. As you can see plainly from the way that this is going on this thing. Like, no, they're not sending a military to vanquish us, you know? But what happens after 15 years of cooperation and influence, 20 years, you know, if it even takes that long, who knows? Things happen really fast these days, you know? What remains of a Peterborough identity? You know what I'm saying? And if not much remains of a Peterborough identity, then we have been annexed. That's what that is. That's what happens. I'm making jokes, but they're not entirely jokes, guys. You know, like, this is all real shit that happens.
Well, I mean, think too of the people that we've known who have wished for, say, a Target in Peterborough.
Yes, true. Yes,
you know,
indeed.
There's people who might actually want that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's bad too. That's bad too. Who don't even care or know, haven't even noticed the Peterborough identity. Who are just like,
agreed. I just want an easier place to shop. Yeah, I don't want to have to drive a half hour to Target, you know?
Yeah. Or wouldn't it be cool to have a Trader Joe's, you know, like, it's
also
all a slippery
low.
slope.
Also low. You know what's rude about the Trader Joe's thing, honestly, is like, have you ever been to a fucking Trader Joe's? Like, incredibly limited inventory. Like, incredibly limited. And we do have Nature's Green Grocer, which has a much, much better, more expansive inventory and selection, and it's actually local. It's not a chain. Like, why do you want trade? Like, I know it's cheap. Like, I know in theory, like, I know for a natural food store, Trader Joe's is cheap because it's all store brand. Like, it's all generified stuff. That's how they do it. It's almost like an Apple model. It's all vertical, right? Everything's just Trader Joe's, like everything you get there, right? Like, it's cool. Like, yeah, it's cool, I guess. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. Like, if you're really into like the natural food and stuff, just like spend the bucks and go to the local store. Like,
I don't even see them as equivalent though. Like, Who was it that said that Trader Joe's
It's the
is for like
same-
moms who like chocolate?
No, but it's like, there's a Venn diagram of people who want a natural food store like a Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, or co-op of some kind. You know,
Yeah.
like they're not all exactly the same, but they are all overlapped. You know, like
Sure.
it's the same.
I just don't think of Trader Joe's as a natural. That's like the snack store.
Oh, but it is an all natural store though. That is what it is. Like literally. Like that's what. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not even arguing. It's just like in my mind, like,
oh yeah,
I could go to Nature's Greengrocer and like do all of my shopping for the week.
yeah.
But
You
I
can't
don't
do that at
think of
Trader
like
Joe's.
doing that at Trader Joe's.
You
It's
absolutely cannot do
you
that
know?
at Trader Joe's. No, I don't understand why people want that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I could see wanting a better supermarket than the Shaw's, like just
Shaw's
replacing Shaw's with
terrible.
like a better supermarket. Different subject. We don't need to talk about that. But
We should come back to that though sometime.
we should come back to supermarket. I'm a lifelong supermarket guy, so I have a lot to say. No offense to the brave workers of Shaw's.
They don't care. They
don't. I know they don't care.
fucking care.
It's true. You're right.
They're happy when they see you go for the self-checkout these days.
They probably are.
Hey, one last thing with the chamber bit.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're winding down, maybe at least with the chamber, if not entirely. But I
think we are. We're at an hour and 10.
Yeah, their website, everything's changed, the branding, everything, Greater Keene, Peterborough, but the website still is keenechamber.com. And I think they should fuck off, you know? Like you should change the URL. You're not that important. There's not that much site traffic that's, you know what I mean? Like I don't buy it. If you're going to be inclusive, do it.
You can't be an equal partner with someone who's 4 times your size.
You
know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to get into subjects of like inequality and partnerships and consent and all that. Like that's another subject for another day. But I think it's relevant to this situation where there is I don't just for the record, this is the reason I'm making jokes. I don't think that parity is like an ideal for like human relationships. But when it comes to business relationships and transactional relationships and cultural relationships and political relationships, parity is very important because without parity, one party dominates the other. We don't have parity with Keene because, again, they are 4 times our size. There's no universe, despite the best intentions of the best-hearted, best restauranted folks involved. There is no way that this is like an equal partnership for Peterborough. It can't be structurally. It's not possible. That's it.
Membership costs money. That's why we're not members.
Yeah, right. Well, we're not paying that.
Yeah,
no, I thought that they had like they put out a little brochure that was like listing all the businesses.
No, only if you buy in.
No. We don't pay to play over here at Go Monadnock. We don't pay to play. On that note, that might be the title of this episode. Thank you for rejoining us. It's phenomenal to be back. I'm not going anywhere for another, you know what I mean? Like, I think we should, we'll probably be on a pretty regular cadence for the next few weeks as we head into the end of the spring, into the summer. So look forward to weekly episodes from us. Look forward to some guests. We have a bunch of ideas for, believe it or not, non-political, non-governmental guests. So, stay tuned for that. For those of you who are happy to walk away from town meeting and take a break from all of this, we're going to be dealing with some happier, lighter subjects. Definitely hope to see, by the time you listen to this, hope to have seen many of you at the Children of the Arts Festival. And I hope that you have come by our tech booth and play our game and get some of our brochures. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think that by next week, we're going to be talking about how awesome it was. I really do. And, shout out to, I believe is it Tina Kriebel who's in charge, right? Correct?
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, Tina is like involved in very many things and has the distinction in town meeting 2022 of being the single largest vote getter of any individual candidate. She and I said this to her afterwards. I think it is for good reason that she is so well liked, and so many thanks. Like we truly do owe Tina and everybody who puts this festival on a large debt of gratitude, because it is one of the best things about the entire town in the entire year, every year, and it's back. We're out of the bad times. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be great. Hot dad summer. It's gonna be awesome. Love it. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Shout out again, of course, to our good friend Chad Patterson. Chad just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Chad. He had a birthday on the road. Traveling is indefatigable, this guy. Traveling in a band. He's a workhorse, a producer, a guitarist, a mixer, a fixer. This guy can do everything. He's at studio117.net, not .com. And over there, he can take care of any of your sound needs, editing, production, like live sound, anything you can think of. And also, and you'll see all of this in the show notes, link to his band, Down by 10. They are for hire. All the dad rock, hot dad rock for the summer. We're working on bringing them to Peterborough for our hot dad rock summer. But really any rock, as they say, from the 70s to from the 60s, excuse me, to the 2000s, they can perform for any function that you have going on. Great stuff. Really looking forward to, like I said, bringing them somehow to town. More to follow there. Also, shout out to the Boston Celtics, who have just, again, for the historical record, won Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That's our show for this evening. Thank you for coming along to the Space Lounge. We cannot wait to see you again on the other side of this Children of the Arts Festival. It's going to be awesome. Things are looking up despite all of our struggles and problems, right? So keep your chin up. It's hard out there, as you walk along the road. So the next time we meet again, please, to the best of your ability, take only good advice.